Here I am, Lord, I come to do your will, is one of the themes of this Sunday's readings. And our first opening prayer today asks God to bestow peace on our times. Right? A fitting prayer. We want peace. We see so much evil in the world. We want peace. So we pray for peace, but praying about it isn't enough. Praying about it is not going to bring it about. Simply praying about it. Now, if we are serious about wanting peace in the world, well, where does it start? Starts in our hearts. Doesn't start with the government or come from the moon. Comes from human persons. But, as Pope Benedict warned at one time, if the human heart is not good, nothing can turn out good. Where's good come from? Good people. If the human heart is not good, nothing can turn out good. You can't have peace without goodness. Immorality, as St. Paul talks about in our second reading, doesn't bring about peace. Evil doesn't bring about peace. Goodness, virtue, obeying the Lord's commandments brings about good and brings about peace. Now, is peace an important part of our life as Christians? Well, St. Paul tells us in Colossians, let the peace of Christ reign in your hearts. Since as members of one body, you're called to peace. Christians are called to peace. We're supposed to be peacemakers. Blessed, it's one of the Beatitudes. Blessed are the peacemakers. It's supposed to reign in our hearts peace. We're supposed to be the sources of peace in the world. But peace comes at a price. It comes at the price of doing God's will. Obey the commandments, then you can have peace. Peace comes from goodness, moral goodness in the heart of the human person. Now, I think a lot of people who go to church and pray their prayers and pray their novenas and pray their rosaries often do so because they want God to do their will on earth as it should be in heaven. Seriously, I think a lot of people pray to get God to do their will. As if he needs some help. He's God. He knows what to do. But I think a lot of people, their spirit is, listen, Lord, your servant is speaking. Did you get my novena to St. Jude? They can't understand why God's not doing their will. But what does Jesus teach? Our Father who art in heaven, how'd you know my name? No. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. It says nothing about praying to get God to do our will. So St. Teresa of Avila, mystic, doctor of the church, says, okay, you want a real prayer life? Not a phony, baloney, pharisaical, phantom prayer life. A real prayer life. Okay, you do? Then start by bringing your will into conformity with God's will. That's the person who's praying. What's the purpose of our novena, our going to Mass, our holy hour? To sensitize our minds and hearts to be open to receiving God's grace to carry out his will. Here I am, Lord, I come to do your will. Our first reading, our response should be the response of Samuel. Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. And I love it how a drug addict and an alcoholic is taught to pray when they go to a meeting. What's the 11th step for an alcoholic or a drug addict? Sought through prayer and meditation to increase our conscious contact with God, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry it out. Whatever you want, Lord, just give me the grace to do it. It sets aside all self-serving motives for praying. Now, I was up in Kirkland, Washington recently giving a mission, the home of Costco, Kirkland, Washington. And one day, this old lady comes up to me after my talk. Father, I was driving here, and I was doing the speed limit, 35 miles an hour, when some guy behind her in a black truck is irritated that she's not going faster. He's trying to push her to go faster. Finally, he was able to get around her after flipping her the Hawaiian sign of good luck. And she thought, well, what's the big hurry? He's just going to get stuck up at the red light. What's the hurry? So sure enough, she gets up to the red light, and he's sitting there at the red light. And then she gently tapped on her horn. Oh, he had a fit, rolled down the wheel and cussed her out, and she's trying to show him. She's pointing to the back of his truck. He has a bumper sticker that says, "Honk if you love Jesus," which he apparently forgot all about. And when he realized it, he sunk down in his chair, waiting for that green light. They will know you're my disciples by your bumper stickers, by your rosaries hanging in your rear view mirror. No, by your prayers, by your novenas, by attending Mass, how many holy hours you make. No, they will know you're my disciples by your love. That's the purpose of our rosary, our novena, going to church, our holy hour. Otherwise, what's the point? If the way we treat other people is no different from the way the non-church-going person treats them, why bother? It's supposed to show. They will know you're my disciples by your love. So, it's a new year. We could ask ourselves, am I more loving this year than I was last year? If I cannot respond to the trouble in life, and there's trouble in this world, if the Christian cannot respond in a reasonable, responsible, and loving way to the trouble of life and the troubled people we have to deal with and are related to and live with or are married to or whatever, there's something wrong here. You're going to have trouble in this world, says Jesus. Don't be afraid. I've overcome the world. My peace I give you. Right? Peace comes from Him. It doesn't come from them. You're going to have trouble. Yeah, you can have trouble. But in the midst of trouble, you have deep inner peace. How do you have that deep inner peace? It's by living the law's commandments. And of course, Jesus tells us the whole law and the prophets, all of the Old Testament and New Testament, are summed up in love. As Pope Benedict reminded us, love is the foundation of immortality. And immortality is founded on love alone. You want to go to heaven? You have to be a loving person. And St. Thomas Aquinas tells us, peace is an effect of love.